just real quick before we get on with some questions, you booked yourself on these shows, the Today Show, and how do you book yourself on a show? You become your own best client.
Yeah, well, it's not easy, and I mean, look, I was, you have to know your story. You have to really put in the time. You have to know who to contact, when to contact them, and most importantly, I mean, and when I say when to contact them, not just the time of the day and the day of the week, but you have to know when in the news cycle to contact them. And I got to say, when I did this 10 years ago, I mean, I really didn't have the perspective or the experience to know when to contact folks. So I kind of just, by trial and error, learned how to do it. And then when I worked in journalism, it all became clear, it was like, okay, this is how you do it, right? And so I have that perspective now when I'm helping clients. I have the, years of me kind of just winging it on my own, trying to book myself on air. And then I have the more professional experience where I was a part of a real newsroom and I know, what stories will resonate with journalists, and most importantly, when to contact the right people and how a newsroom works and how stories are put on the air or published online or, put in the newspaper. I mean, this is all experience that took, years to sort of develop and hone, and intelligence that took years to learn, and a lot of trial and error. And, I think that's where the value of an agency comes into play, especially an agency like mine, where you're going to be working with someone who has, lived this business for many years.
What's number one challenge people have right now, getting noticed?
Well, I think, right now, people need to really understand what their area of expertise is, what topics are they passionate about, because when you're passionate about a topic, the audience notices that, and then the media outlet that you're speaking on notices that as well, and that'll score points for you over the long term. So that's one. And then I think two is know where your place is in the media landscape, right? If you're new to media and you haven't been doing this for years, you need to be cognizant of that, your sort of market share of the media oxygen may be less than someone who has been doing this for decades. And so that doesn't mean that you shouldn't start somewhere, but it's just, I think it's just important to set expectations. And then the other thing that I really try to help clients do is to frame their point of view in a way that is digestible for journalists, right? So what does that mean? Well, a lot of my clients are financial advisors, right? They're experts on the stock market, on financial planning, and they've got they have a lot to say on those topics. I think where I come in is I'm trying to help them nail that very narrow intersection between market commentary and media commentary, and it's a very narrow corner. And I've noticed that just because you know a lot about the stock market or financial planning doesn't mean you know how to communicate that in a way that's digestible for a journalist or in the media. And so that's, I think, the real value of a PR agency, among other benefits. But I think for my agency specifically, my background as a financial journalist, I not only have an understanding of the markets just like my clients do, but I have that media background that I can apply to this process as well.
So they want information that their audience can digest. And
So,
I think I heard you say that a lot of times, the expert may be coming in way over their head, or, with language they may not get or understand. Is that what I'm hearing?
That's part of it. And
Interesting point.
I think when you're talking to the media, and it's not necessarily just about whether you're speaking too technical or too in the weeds, because journalists, they're smart people. They'll understand what you're saying. I mean, obviously you want to explain it in a concise way. But I think when you're speaking, you want to have two audiences in mind. One, the journalist, right? Is the journalist understanding what I'm saying? And two, like, okay, I know the journalist cares about their audience, so I also want to make sure I'm communicating in a way that an audience might understand. So there's really, as the expert, you have two audiences, right? The journalist, because they're the gatekeeper of the information. In other words,
Mhm.
the information that gets passed to the audience first has to go through the journalist. But then you also want to like, okay, I'm talking to the journalist, but I also want to make sure I'm providing value for their audience,
Mhm.
right? It's a transaction. You know, you're providing value to the journalist and they're providing value to you because you're getting your name mentioned in a prestigious media outlet that will give you that third party validation that you need to build your credibility, you know, improve the results in Google search terms when somebody searches your name or your firm. All that stuff is important.